One Piece isn't just the longest running manga in history, it's a cultural juggernaut. With over 523 million copies in circulation, it's outsold the Lord of the Rings series and the entirety of the Batman comics. And yet, what sets One Piece apart is that the elusive creator Eiichiro Oda serves as both the writer and the artist, crafting a continuous narrative across 1,100 chapters, spanning over 24 years, with the story still far from its final page. And what's even more impressive is his ability to introduce and develop a massive cast of characters that's almost unparalleled in size. To put it into perspective, One Piece has more named characters than anime giants like Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and Jujutsu Kaisen combined. This expansive roster isn't just a feat of quantity, but of quality, as it introduces an enormous cast of iconic and memorable characters to boast. Which brings us to the real question. What makes a character introduction unforgettable? Is it their appearance, their personality? Maybe it's their beliefs and philosophies, how they move through the world, or how the world reacts to them. And trust me when I say this, Oda doesn't just introduce his characters, he announces them, carefully blending a mix of writing techniques to breathe life into every figure we encounter. So whether you're a die-hard fan or just dipping your toes in for the first time, this video is for you. As together, we'll uncover how Oda's mastery of character introductions elevates One Piece to one of the most expansive and immersive worlds in modern fiction. Of course, we need to start with the most iconic character introduction in the entire series, Gol D. Roger. Without him, there is no story. He is the prologue. His expositional speech, along with the narration, sparks the new dawn of the pirate era, and setting the main goal for the story, to find his hidden treasure. Roger's legacy, combined with his death, turn him into a mythical figure throughout the series. He becomes the benchmark, the pirate that once you surpass will finally make you the king of the pirates. Firstly, it's important that before we look at all the other introductions themselves, we examine one of Oda's signature storytelling techniques, the build-up. Build-up is a cornerstone of storytelling across all mediums, but Oda uses it in a uniquely powerful way. He turns minor details into major payoffs, and builds anticipation that doesn't just last a few chapters, but often entire arcs, or even decades. One of the earliest examples of Oda using this technique is with Roronoa Zoro. In chapter 2, Koby describes him as a terrifying pirate hunter, instantly building a fearsome reputation before we meet him. But when Zoro is finally introduced, tied to a post, starving and seemingly broken, Oda defies our expectations. Instead of embodying the ruthless image we've been led to believe, Zoro reveals a deep sense of honor and selflessness, enduring immense pain for the sake of a young girl. This introduction foreshadows Oda's signature writing style of always trying to subvert expectations. But Zoro is just the beginning. Oda masterfully uses build-up to expand the world of One Piece and prepares us for some of the most iconic figures in the series. The four emperors of the seas, figures like Big Mom and Kaido, are established long before we ever meet them. Their reputations precede them as the only pirates powerful enough to rule entire islands, completely unchallenged by the world government. This exposition creates a sense of awe and wonder, forcing us to ask the uncomfortable question. How can Luffy, as he is now, who struggles against far weaker opponents, ever stand a chance against these titans? Oda strategically teases us with future antagonists long before we ever encounter them, keeping us both captivated and excited for the journey ahead, and building anticipation for the inevitable moment Luffy will have to rise to confront them. Then there's Dr. Vegapunk, a character shrouded in mystery from the very beginning. First mentioned as early as chapter 433 in 2006, introduced us to the genius behind the world government's most powerful weapons. His influence loomed large even before we knew what he truly looks like. Each new reference of Vegapunk only fueled fan theories and speculations about his designs, abilities, and potential role in the story. And when he was finally revealed in chapter 1066, 16 years after his initial mention, his introduction wasn't just a reveal, it was the culmination of years of build-up. Even now, Oda continues to tease characters like Rocksteady Zebek, who could arguably be called one of the strongest pirates in history, and Joy Boy, whose very name shakes the fabric of history itself. These characters remain shrouded in mystery, revealed only through fleeting silhouettes, fragmented descriptions, and cryptic dialogue. This storytelling technique emphasizes the power of exposition. By telling us about these characters before showing them, Oda builds a sense of weight and anticipation. The slow unraveling of their identities adds grandeur to their eventual appearances, creating an atmosphere that a simple, immediate introduction could never achieve. This brings us to the introductions themselves. The goal of any introduction is simple. How can I, in one scene, express to the audience who my character truly is? The most effective way to do this is by showcasing a character's traits through their first action. This action becomes the key to revealing their personality, motivations, and role in the story. And when combined with a blend of dialogue, narration, titles, and exposition, gives Oda a paintbrush to create an infinite array of unique characters. Take Smoker's introduction for example. He first appears as a no-nonsense marine, and appears to be the next villain in the arc. However, when a little girl accidentally smears ice cream on his pants, and with her father terrified apologizing frantically, we're led to believe that the worst will happen. Smoker then glares down at the girl, pats her on the head, apologizes to her, and gives her money and walks away. This one simple action shows us who Smoker is. He's a good guy, an honourable marine, yet with a serious and intimidating presence. And that's all we need to know about him for now. Likewise, Sanji's introduction encapsulates his character through his first action. And in just one scene, we grasp everything that we need to know about him. Sanji is a skilled chef who fiercely protects food, is charming around women, and can hold his own in a fight. What's important to note here is what's missing from Sanji's introduction. We don't see his trademark fighting technique or understand why he protects food so intensely. Instead, we just need to know his character's main traits. And I think a key takeaway from both of these introductions is that sometimes it's more effective to reveal the essential traits first and save the deeper motivations for later on in the story. And Oda is such an expert at introducing characters, sometimes the introduction itself feels like action. Take the ending of the Thriller Bark arc. Try and say that 5 times fast. Luffy and the crew have just survived a grueling battle defeating one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Gecko Moria. Luffy is passed out. The crew are exhausted, just beginning to recover, when Kuma the Tyrant appears, another warlord of the sea. This feels like a gut punch to all the characters involved and us, the audience. And even though we'd been introduced to him earlier on in the arc, this was his first appearance to the main cast, creating an unexpected moment and an unknowing excitement for where the story would go next, showcasing that Oda can raise the stakes of a scene from just an introduction alone, setting the stage for one of the most iconic scenes in One Piece, or more memorably, as the moment when nothing happened. And sometimes the introduction doesn't even need to be a person. Take this scene from Dressrosa. We hear the Straw Hats that are protecting the Sunny screaming over a snail transponder. What follows is our introduction to an Emperor's ship, an unexpected moment that immediately shifts the tone. Its sheer scale and destructive potential are palpable, and its creative design adds to its menacing aura. This introduction emphasizes how Oda's world constantly feels dangerous, unpredictable, and alive, with the threat of chaos lurking around every corner. Oda even uses the introduction of a character as a key plot point in the story. Take the Sabaody Archipelago arc. We're constantly told that if you attack a celestial dragon, an admiral of the navy will arrive. And what does Luffy do? He delivers one of the most cathartic punches in anime history, leading to the introduction of Kizaru, who flies in on a cannonball, making a literal bang from the offset. Through the exposition of 2 of the dumbest pirates of the series, we quickly learn about his terrifying light devil fruit ability, and his strange but awesome carefree attitude. What follows is one of the biggest cans of whip-ass in the entire series, showing how the introduction of a character can shape and drive the plot forwards. And then we reach the perfect culmination of all of Oda's storytelling techniques, when we're introduced to Kaido. Kaido isn't just another villain, he's a world-shattering force. As an Emperor of the Sea, we knew he'd be powerful, but little else was known about him. When Law forms an alliance with Luffy and declares that Kaido will be the first Emperor they take down, it's enough to establish him as an imposing force looming over the entire story. And then in chapter 795, Oda introduced us to the strongest beast in the world. It's sudden and random. A massive explosion erupts on an island as the nameless narrator of One Piece begins speaking. The strong will live and the weak will die. That's all there is to this world. Accompanied by the sight of a massive smashed outline of a figure etched into the ground. Again, the narrator continues, minutes before. We see the hulking man stand on the side of a sky island and just drop off, hurtling towards the ground like a meteor. The reactions of the characters around him, with the narrator's exposition of his epic feats and losses, and his character design, perfectly embody the strength and capability we'd been anticipating. Bold, intimidating, and unlike any other antagonist we'd seen, Kaido's introduction was the culmination of the mystique Oda had built around him, and had the entire fandom reacting like crazy. Imagine that first time you saw Captain America grabbing Thor's hammer, and then seeing a reaction like that just over the appearance of a new character. And for me, showcases why One Piece is unparalleled when it comes to creating unforgettable entrances, and also why you should never trust Oda's silhouettes. One of the reasons Oda's character introductions are so memorable is his ability to blend humour with serious moments. This balance keeps characters feeling compelling, multi-dimensional, and different from one another. Take Crocus for example. His legendary introduction with his intense stare-off and constant interruptions is for me one of the funniest in the series. Ayy. Seeing the crew all get enraged by him is just pure comedy gold. But he also serves as an expositional character, explaining to the crew and ourselves how the log poses are used and how to navigate the Grand Line. By integrating humour into this moment, Oda makes Crocus feel unique and memorable, turning what could have been a purely informational scene into something both funny and informative, creating a character who even hundreds of episodes later will have his own part to play in the story. Kinemon's first appearance for me is a perfect example of Oda's ability to blend absurdity with meaningful storytelling. Initially we see Kinemon as nothing more than a pair of disembodied legs stuck to a dragon, a moment that carries a touch of uncanny symbolism and subtle foreshadowing. Luffy in his typical impulsive manner attempts to rescue him, thinking he's stuck deep inside the dragon, just to discover that he's a pair of talking legs. At first glance, this scene might seem completely ridiculous, which it is, especially when Luffy asks the legs to join his crew. However, as the story progresses, this bizarre moment transforms into something much greater. As I've discussed in an earlier video, one thing about unexpected moments is that you can always pull them off as long as they make sense in the world you've established. And Oda does just that, as he perfectly explains how Kinemon ended up like this with another reveal of a character later. This quirky introduction becomes a masterful blend of comedy, plot building, and world building. Luffy placing the legs on himself is a joke, but yet kicks off a series of events that will eventually lead him to Kaido himself. In the same vein, Brook is initially introduced as a creepy ghost, only to quickly shift into a comic relief character. Obsessed with bad jokes and eccentric behaviour, it's always a monumental moment when someone joins the Straw Hat crew. Especially when in the previous arc it took a massive battle for Frankie to even consider joining the crew. So when we meet Brook, and within minutes Luffy casually asks him to join the crew, and Brook eagerly agrees, it's both funny and revealing. It's almost as if Oda is giving us a cheeky wink, playfully reminding us that after the long drawn out journey, we can never predict his next move. However, once Brook's tragic past is revealed, the humour takes on a bittersweet tone. His profound loneliness becomes deeply moving, and his growing bond with Luffy and the crew adds emotional depth. What began as a light-hearted introduction slowly transforms in retrospect to one of the most heartbreaking scenes in One Piece. Yo. Sorry, I had to. Finally, if we're talking about combining comedy with danger and high stakes, we can't overlook Aokiji. We first meet him as a lazy, laid-back man, casually napping with a forgetful attitude. Robin immediately freaks out upon seeing him, warning the crew that he's one of the world government's strongest, a Navy admiral. Yet it's hard to take him seriously as he flirts with Nami and talks to the Straw Hats without a hint of hostility. He generally seems like a chill guy, no pun intended. That is, until he effortlessly freezes the ocean, revealing his monstrous strength. This introduction is comical and yet terrifying, and what transpires after this moment will set the Straw Hats on their most emotional journey, full of breakups, new unlocked abilities, intense fights, and the making of a statement that the world could no longer ignore. And for Aokiji himself, this marked the introduction of a character who goes on one of the most unpredictable and fascinating journeys in the series. This balance of light-hearted moments and overwhelming danger keeps us both laughing and on edge. What initially appears to be a trivial, humorous introduction often carries lasting consequences for the larger story. Oda skillfully uses even the most absurd situations to propel the plot and deepen character connections. And as Aokiji puts it, in One Piece, don't judge others by their appearance. And this image right here of a frozen sea serves as a stark reminder that the world is inhabited by powerful characters. This brings us to one of Oda's signature techniques in character introductions, using these moments to showcase abilities that leave a lasting impression. These abilities not only define the characters themselves, but also set the threat level they bring to the story. By introducing previously unseen powers, Oda expands the world building, reinforcing how much Luffy, and we as the audience, still have yet to learn about the true scale of this world. Mihawk's introduction is more than just a display of his unmatched swordsmanship or a motivator for Zoro. He symbolizes the vastness and danger of the Grand Line itself. His effortless defeat of Don Krieg and the scar he leaves on Zoro serve not just to showcase Mihawk's strength, but represents the countless individuals on the Grand Line who are leagues beyond the Straw Hats in power and experience, reminding us and the crew of the immense challenges they'll face along their journey that can come at any time. Then there's the showcase of the abilities themselves. Marco is a perfect example of this. We see him throughout the series as an unassuming character who we never really notice, apparently dyeing his hair, until he flies up to Kizaru as a flaming blue phoenix, easily taking on his light attacks and then kicking him to the ground. Kizaru, who had easily defeated the Straw Hats and the Worst Generation before, is struck down by Marco's first major action, and introducing us to the rarest devil fruit in the entire series. Then there's Rayleigh's introduction, who casually demonstrates his mastery of Haki. This mysterious ability is more than just a new skill, it highlights the gap between Luffy and those who have mastered this power, and it also answered a long-standing question in the series up until that point. How can Luffy fight against those untouchable Logia users with his current abilities? This reminds us that despite the potential, Luffy still has a long way to go in terms of growth, and with this new power system, completely changed the dynamics of the world. One thing that Oda loves to do is add titles to each character. These titles add so much to the characters themselves, showcasing their allegiances, nicknames and bounties. Nowhere is this more evident than the introduction of Jack the Drought. As the first member of a Yonko crew revealed to have a bounty over 1 billion berries, his massive bounty alone easily depicted his threat level, along with his design really drove home the point that the Straw Hats were only just beginning to face the true scale of an emperor's power. These moments effectively blend character development and tension, while keeping the audience invested in the ever-expanding world, as we're never quite sure what new abilities might be thrown our way. And that's just it. One of the reasons people love the series so much is because of all the unanswered mysteries still left in the world. Oda masterfully uses mystery to deepen character introductions whose true depths are gradually revealed. When we first meet Blackbeard and Jaya, his unthreatening and almost friendly demeanour comes across as a light-hearted, almost comedic character, even shown in the bar scene to be the opposite of Luffy. But when Luffy leaves him shouting to the sky that people's dreams will never end, gives a cryptic remark to Nami that Blackbeard isn't a he, but a them, immediately adding a strange mystery around him that still to this day has been unanswered. This subtle but effective shift sets the stage for his eventual transformation from what seemed like a trivial character into one of the series' most dangerous villains. Dragon's introduction in Logtown is shrouded in mystery, with his brief appearance in chapter 100 sparking immediate curiosity around his true identity. Smoker looks up at him, wondering his connection with Straw Hat. And in the anime, I will never forgive the person that made this mistake. I mean, come on, look at that. And sometimes we're just hit with a wave of character introductions all at once. With the Worst Generation, the Vinsmokes, and the Revolutionary Army, we get a brief glimpse of these characters, but it's not until later that we start to understand their true significance. Their roles in the story slowly unfold, leaving us to ponder how they impact the world in the future. Even the introduction of new islands is shrouded in mystery. From the Lightning Island shown before the time skip to Big Mom's Island and Zoe, revealed to be a massive elephant rather than a traditional island, we're constantly surprised by the unpredictability of each new location. With the last island, Laugh Tale, still ahead of us, the adventure never stops feeling fresh, and the mystery of what awaits keeps us motivated to read on. And now with the introduction of Emu, One Piece delivers its most chilling mystery yet. As Emu trudges up to the empty throne, the sense of something far greater and more dangerous than we've ever encountered before is undeniable. Oda has once again built a layer of suspense, leaving us with more questions than answers, and ensuring that the mystery at the heart of One Piece continues to captivate us all. Now comes probably my favourite part of One Piece, and why I think so many people love the series, and that is when we're reintroduced to characters we haven't seen for a long time. Oda's reintroductions are crucial to character development and world building. They emphasize growth, shift in power dynamics, and keep the story progressing in surprising and satisfying ways. One of the most surprising examples of this is with Crocodile. His return in Impel Down feels both logical and impactful. Crocodile, being one of the most dangerous criminals in the world, is exactly the type of person who would be locked away in the most secure level of the prison. His reappearance is immediately marked by his iconic laugh. I promise that's my last impression. Which reminds us of his menacing presence. However, it's Ivanko's not so cryptic remark about Crocodile's mysterious past, hinting that he may have once been a woman, that deepens the mystery surrounding him. What makes Crocodile's reintroduction so effective though is the evolution of his character. He transforms from a ruthless antagonist to an unlikely ally, helping Luffy escape Impel Down and later joining forces with him in the battle at Marineford, helping him out on more than one occasion. This shift in role signals a new chapter in Crocodile's journey, showcasing Oda's ability to keep characters dynamic and relevant as the story progresses. Another character's introduction that helps us witness growth is Kobe. Each time he reappears in the story, Kobe is more confident, stronger, and a step closer to achieving his dream of becoming an admiral. His evolution is subtle but impactful, showing us that even side characters are not static in One Piece. And when you see a character going from looking like this to doing this, it's nothing short of remarkable. And these reintroductions don't even need to have Luffy in the mix. Like when Brook meets Big Mom and gives one of the coldest lines in the series, calling her young lady. Or when Doflamingo tries to attack the ship, only for Sanji to come flying in towards him and Doflamingo acknowledging his strength, saying here comes quite a tough one. And then finally, there was no bigger reintroduction, more monumental than when Shanks entered Marineford. His mere presence stopped the entire war, with his crew even commanding respect from the admirals themselves. And now come the best reintroductions in the entire series, and that is when Luffy introduces himself to other characters and the world at large. With him defeating a pacifista with one punch, emphasizing his growth over the 2-year time skip, to him flying out of Big Mom's cake with a bunch of clones and then shouting to Big Mom, "I'm the real one," only to see Capone's face of shock, highlights the high stakes with comedy. To him taking a Nail's thunder attack only to brush it off like it was nothing, given the OG of funniest reactions in the series, to him smashing the mirror in front of Katakuri with those determined eyes, showing him that he is stuck in there with him. We can see how Eiichiro Oda employs a masterful blend of build-up, first actions, clever comedic elements, mysteries, and having characters clash with one another creates a compelling narrative with an absurd number of iconic characters. And for me, the greatest introduction in One Piece is when Luffy finally introduces himself in the Marineford War. That moment when he comes flying down from the sky with his ragtag team, with all of them just screaming at one another, completely taking away the entire spotlight away from everyone and putting it firmly on himself, with the music and the reactions of all the characters staring at him, gave him one of the greatest introductions to the entire world at large. And that could have been enough. But then Luffy goes and introduces himself to Whitebeard and surmounts that he is going to be the next king of the pirates. was nothing short of epic. And just when you think Luffy couldn't be introduced again, he then smashes a giant in the face as we're told that he is the son of the most wanted man in the world, Monkey D. Dragon, revealing to the world his monstrous family, and finally answering Smoker's question in chapter 100 on why he helped him out that day. And then, when you thought that all of that couldn't be topped, the admirals, the 3 strongest men in the Navy, stand there as a big drop of water lands in front of them, only for Luffy to be revealed holding a broken mast of a ship. He looks at them with determination. They know he can't beat them. He knows he can't beat them. We know he can't beat them. Everybody knows. And yet, Luffy, undeterred, kicks the mast at them and tries to run past them at speed. This introduction for me is the best introduction in the series and encapsulates what One Piece is about. Chasing your dreams or goals no matter what terrifying thing stands in front of you. And with the celebration of chapter 1000, Luffy now walks past even more monstrous figures without a second glance, showing us that with hard work and going on your own unique journey, anything is possible. And that's it. One Piece has become a part of my unique journey through life. I got into this series through a real hard time and it stayed with me ever since. Through university, finding my first real job, to traveling around the world, is a part of my routine. Waiting for the next chapter to come out and then watching my favorite reviewers discuss it in depth, to then watching each new episode come out. And ever since I was at uni in the library when Luffy stopped Doflamingo with his foot and me throwing my hands up in the air like a maniac, I knew I wanted to make some sort of video as a love letter to the series. And when I thought long and hard about what type of video I wanted to make, I realized for me, the moments I loved the most was seeing characters appear or reappear in the story. It's a testament to Oda's writing that just 2 characters meeting for the first time can cause such a visceral reaction from myself and the countless millions of fans across the world. His ability to create a breathtaking amount of iconic moments all in just one series makes him, for me, the master of character introductions. Hello everyone, if you liked the video, please think about liking it and then subscribing to the channel. Oh god, every time I say that, I just think in my head, you're a bag, you're a bag, you're a bag. So I'm trying not to be a bag. Anyway, back to you, professional SD pad. Nakama, thank you for watching the video. I know that I missed a ton of characters and I actually had to delete some of my favorites to not make this video too long, so please write down in the comments below who your favorite character introduction is and why, as I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. And with all that said and done, I'll catch you on the next one.